Hey everybody, it's Chris from the Charity Board Gamer trying out something new. So if you are joining us, you are seeing us possibly on Twitch, on YouTube, or on the wonderful world of Facebook where we've been doing our live streams. But yeah, super excited. We've got a little change ups and stuff, and that music was fun. I like that music.
Yeah, just grew to that for a while.
Bum, 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 butter, bum. Yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking with Dennis Furia from Deck of Wonders. We're going to be actually, it's what Furia Games is what you're calling what your company
only
is.
because I had to figure out something.
You had to figure out some sort of name. I got
you. Furia Games, sure.
Yeah,
ran with
sounds good. Make it easy. Make it easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about 612 Humanitarian Relief, which is an actual nonprofit charity organization that works over in Hong Kong. So we've got a couple of those things we're going to be talking about today. But first, Dennis, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself for everybody to know. Let them know a little bit about you, about what games you like to play with the kids, just anything. So yeah, share that with us.
Oh, that's a good place to start. Is I got two kids, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and then my wife and I have a third on the way in December. So it's all boys, and it is loud, it is rambunctious, it is high energy in our household.
Now, how old are the older two right now?
The oldest is 6, and he just turned 6 in late July, and then the youngest is 4. So Luke, the older one, is going to be starting kindergarten virtually in a couple days here, which is a whole thing. Like we could spend all night just on that.
I mean, virtual kindergarten, that's got to be hard because, I mean, kids, when I remember kindergarten, it was like, okay, I want to interact with other kids and, you know, play in the playground and write. And then, you know, I don't know. I was attention deficit disorder as can be. So
I want to throw things and knock someone down and yell and scream. And I mean, you know, Luke will be able to do all those things, and no one will be able to stop him. So
have fun. Yeah.
It
Oh, it's craziness. It's amazing, all that stuff. But yeah.
So they, you know, that's a whole new adventure. But they are getting to the age where we're starting to be able to game together. And that's really fun because as much hecticness and craziness as kids introduce into your life, it just, you know, they introduce that much more fun and enjoyment and new options to just, I don't know, have really cool interactions as a human. So,
so what now with COVID going on right now, of course, you know, spending time with the kids and everything, you know, we're not exactly saying, hey, let's go out to the beach or let's go down. No, you know. No. So what have been some activities that you've done that you've been able to do with them to keep the energy going and to keep it positive and having a good time?
One of the most incredible things, and it actually happened a little bit before COVID kind of took us all out of our normal rotation. But one of the coolest things is I bought a copy of No Thank You Evil.
Okay.
And it's a tabletop role-playing system that is engineered specifically for kids. And there's, you know, it's for, you know, youngsters at 4 all the way up through, I think it's rated for like 12 or 16-year-olds, something like that. And the system can get more complicated as the kids get older, and it all meshes together. So you can have a 4-year-old at the simplest version playing with a 16-year-old at the hardest version. And it's all very flexible, very kid logic. And just is engineered to accommodate the incredible imaginations that kids have. And that's been amazing. So I'm GMing for my kids, and that has been awesome. It's like it's weird and amazing all at the same time. I've used it to break up fights. That was interesting. Like the kids were at each other's throat one day, and I'm like, all right, sit down and shut up. We're going to play No Thank You Evil, whether you like it or not. And they had some mission where they had to work as a team or else they were going to lose.
I like that.
And by the end of it, they were jumping up and down together and playing air guitar and throwing an imaginary concert for a hall full of zombies. It was the best time ever. So it was just really cool. So
how is that? How is it doing that? Do they have pre-generated characters? Are you making it with them? And who makes this? Because I want to copy it already. So
I think it's Monty Cook Games is the people that make it. And the kids make up their characters and even the classes. It's like, all right, you can be broad, you can be a spy. And then it gives examples in the book of like a spy could be anything like A, B, C, D, E, F. And it's like all these different things a kid could want to be. You tell them, yes, you're that, and then just roll it up under the spy class. And it, all the mechanics work. So we've got My older was playing a superhero. Now he's playing what I classed as a creature, but is a muffin man, which I'm not. That's literal. He is playing a sentient muffin. Was his idea.
Now, Allison just put up something hilarious. It says, "Did it come from the phrase 'Not today, Satan'?"
Yes.
You're talking to kids. So she has to say that often today with her boys.
That same ring to it.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So I mean, it's super flexible. Every attack does 2 base damage. Every dodge is the same. Like every monster, you use 1 number for their difficulty, and that kind of applies across stats. And but they come up with the characters, and then they'll spout out like, my sword does 60 million damage.
Whoa, 60 million damage.
Yeah, and that's where you as the GM, you go, yeah, it does. And then you mark down 2 damage like the game is designed. And they don't know the difference. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's been so much fun. And in a world where you're not able to go out and go crazy like you normally would, and then even on rainy days where you're cooped up inside, the fun we've had playing that, we've done a luge competition down a frozen giant beanstalk. We've done a spelunking into a giant blender to unstick it and free the milkshakes that were meant to be made. They then had to get out before the blender turned back on, which was fun. If they failed their rolls, I didn't have a backup plan. It would have gotten grisly.
Now, does it have actually these scenarios in the book, like giving you ideas of what to do when there's conflict and things of that nature, or?
There are 2 or 3 example adventures that come in the box, and you can buy a bunch of extras. I've had the most success just showing them the map. Like I'll get out the GM book and it's got the map on the back, and just be like, "Where do you guys want to go today?" And then they'll point to somewhere and be like, "Oh, that looks cool." And I'll say, "Well, what do you think you're going to find there? What sounds interesting about that?" And they will feed me way better story hooks than I would ever come up with myself. Like just, it's a tiny little icon on the map of a mountain with an eye. And they're like, "Well, he looks sleepy. Maybe the mountain has trouble getting to sleep." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." Like, put the elder mountain back to sleep before it gets woken up. I want to play that adventure. Like,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, and has been a great bonding experience in some weird times.
And what was it called again? Is it called No Thank You Evil?
That's correct. Right? No Thank You Evil.
Okay.
With a comma and a bang at the end.
Comma and a bang. Nice. Ooh. Now, I'm going to recommend this one for your next campaign. Once you get done with this one, it's called An Ogre and His Cake.
An Ogre and His Cake. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the DM's Guild. The money goes towards Extra Life if you purchase it. They give it away for free too. But you can get pre-generated characters or not pre-generated characters. And what's amazing, it's a story about a little girl, 6 years old. So, I mean, fit with age range for your kids. But yeah, so 6-year-old girl has her birthday cake. It gets stolen by an ogre. And then you and your party have to somehow retrieve this cake. And as the GM, you can decide. The main idea behind it, there's no death or dismemberment or anything crazy like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Yeah, it is such a good storyline. And then, there's no death. Instead, the bad guys, they all cry and run away and they're upset. And then, of course, you have a chance of deciding, okay, maybe the ogre is upset because he wasn't invited to the party. Who knows?
Yeah, I tell you what, the capacity for non-violent storytelling that, and I've got little boys and they're in the phase where everything is gun and
guns and poop and wrestling.
It's in there. And I'm sure it's in there for little girls as well. But the capacity for kids to tell those like really interesting, non-violent, nuanced stories is incredible if you just give them the space. So there was one where Muffin Man was trying to find his pet. And I kind of worked it so they found this thing that they thought was going to be their pet, but then it turns out it didn't want to be their pet. And I'm like, please don't enslave it against its will. Please don't enslave it against its will. But then they came up with this like really creative solution of like, oh, well, maybe, I'm a muffin. And so maybe I need a gingerbread pet and I'm going to model it after this thing. And so if you pose, I'll bake it. And it was so much fun and so creative. And
that is amazing.
I mean, and I mentioned the luge race, like that had nothing to do with weapons or guns. There was a fire ring they had to jump through at the end.
Okay.
But it's been really, really cool. And so I've appreciated that.
That is really neat. Okay. So no, thank you, Evil. That sounds like a blast. And then, of course, Ogre and His Cake. Take a look at that. We put the link up there just a little while ago, and it's on right now. We've got it on the Twitch thing, but yeah, it is so good. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, thank you, evil.com. Thanks, Justin. But yeah, that just sounds fun. I want to go do that right now.
Board games it's like, I don't know. It's just such an incredible thing. You can use it in so many ways for so many different people, and it's awesome.
Now let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing. You've got a Kickstarter campaign. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I'm going to add it to the stream, and then I'm going to scroll through. And you tell us about this. This is your game that you've been working on. This is Deck of Wonders. This is a solo game, which it's a CCG. Am I correct? Is that the right?
Yeah, it plays like a CCG. I mean, other people will say like it's an expandable card game. So you're not buying random booster packs to keep up. You're not going to have to do any of that. The game that comes in the box is a complete experience in story, and it's something that you could expand on easily in the future. But that story is that you've stolen the Deck of Wonders from Fate herself. So think of Fate as the deity that rules this world, and the Deck of Wonders is her treasured magical artifact. So she is understandably furious with you for taking it, and she is sending all of her followers after you to take it back. At the same time, the darker forces in this world have seen an opportunity to swoop in and take the deck for themselves now that you have it and not Fate. It's a little safer to go after. So you've got this like almost like a One Ring situation going on where you've taken something you probably don't even understand how powerful what you took is, and now everybody wants a piece of you because of it. Play wise, like you described, it plays like a collectible card game. It plays like an expandable card game where there's a tableau in front of you with two sides, one for the villain, one for you. You're summoning minions into that side. You're casting spells to control the board, and in general, you are trying to reduce the villain down to 0 health before you yourself get reduced to 0 health. The thing that makes this unique is where usually it's another player on the other side. This is a solo game. This is you versus the rules. This is solitaire. And there's just a simple set of rules for how the villain behaves on their turn that you, the player, have some agency over that make this thing run. So it feels like you're playing Hearthstone, or it feels like you're playing Magic the Gathering, but you don't need to go find someone who is of a similar skill level and has invested a similar amount into their cards, which is that age-old problem with games of the typical CCG circuit. You just queue up, and each villain that you might face off against is a unique challenge, unique play style, and set of rules that evolves as you play. So in addition to being or feeling like a CCG, in addition to being a solo game, this also has legacy components, or I guess more accurately, campaign components. You're not going to be ripping anything up or permanently destroying anything. So you guys can breathe. I have so many people get concerned and be like, don't make me tear up a card. It's never bothered me, but I guess you won't have to do that if you don't want to.
Oh, I tore up a card the other day. We're playing was it Pandemic Legacy Season 0. We're doing that right now, and I ripped up a card, and my daughter just kind of like did this like, oh my gosh,
it's like you ripped your arm off in front of her or something.
Oh, I know.
You don't think that could be possible,
but I mean, it is weird to take a game and be like to rip something up or to throw it away. It's like, what on earth? But yeah.
So instead, what Deck of Wonders does is it has several legacy packs, and these are small packs, so they look like booster packs, but the complete set of them comes in the game. You just don't know what's in them until you meet the conditions, and each villain has their own special conditions that unlock their own special legacy packs. So just as you start figuring out one of the villains or feel like you've got their number, you're going to unlock a legacy pack that adds new cards to the game, that's going to change the rules, change the strategy, and keep everything fresh, on top of having several different villains, and then obviously a large base collection of cards to build your deck with. So you can build for aggro, you can build for control, you can build mid-range, whatever you want. And that's kind of high level what's going on in Deck of Wonders.
That's pretty cool. And I'm looking at all these unlocks and everything, which is
Yeah,
just really sweet.
We've had so much fun, and the community for this game is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I would be remiss. You're on the art right now with Lightning Strike.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention the other thing that makes the game unique, which is the card format. So what you're looking at on the screen right now is actually a single card just rotated one side up versus the other. If you draw a card on your turn, you use the player side, which is the side with 3 icons on it. If you draw it on the villain turn, you and the villain are drawing from the same deck, by the way, the deck of wonders. Draw it on the villain turn, and you only use the villain side. And so when you're deck building, every single card that you might choose it kind of has several dimensions to the choice, because you're thinking about your side, how that interacts with your cards and gives you an advantage, but you're also weighing that against the villain side and how that might interact with the villain's card, and what your plan if the villain draws it instead of you.
Yeah, the one thing that I remember when I played this with you and we were just having a fun time, and I was like, so do I have to flip? Do I have to turn it around? I remember like, because some of those situations, it was going to hurt me more than it was if it would help me.
Yeah. And in general, the theming of the game is that Fate does not like you very much. She is angry with you.
No, and I think I was playing against the prince, the spoiled prince, and the spoiled prince won. I just kept trying to knock him down, but I did not make it. I think I was I had knocked him down to, I think, oh goodness gracious, wasn't it like nine health left? I think I knocked him down to.
It was beyond halfway.
Yeah, it was beyond halfway, and then all of a sudden it's like, then these cards just kind of came out. I'm like, oh,
oh, how the turntables have turned.
Yes,
which is something Cullen would say. The spoiled prince there. You're also on a picture right now of the digital art book, and I want to talk about that because this is really cool. We were fortunate enough to fund in 48 hours, which means that everyone who backs, not just in the 48-hour window, but just overall, gets the free full digital art book for Deck of Wonders. Art is done by Lauren Brown, LAB illustration on all the socials and online. And as you can see, it's all very involved pieces that she's doing, all of them dual-sided. And so we're collecting all of that in an art book, and everyone who backs gets it for free because we funded in 48 hours, which would have been a $20 cost. But instead, this amazing community has kind of unlocked that for everyone.
Yeah, the art looks just beautiful. I mean, I was seeing it when it was just sketched and stuff like that before it was colored in and everything. I was like, this looks really cool. But yeah, and then I got to see some of the artwork as it was coming out. I was just like, wow.
Yeah, so, Lauren takes things to the next level. She is awesome.
Now, Allison's asking, sounds very intriguing. Do you have an age range?
13 plus is where I've rated this. So there is, I won't say it's a heavy game because its footprint is very small. It's just a deck of cards. And I've literally played it on an airplane seatback tray. So it's got a small footprint, but there is a lot of deep strategy involved, and I've balanced the game to be difficult. So, a typical win rate for a newish player is somewhere between 25 and 30%. And then as people learn the game and get better and kind of figure out the combos, how to trick the villain and all that stuff, they'll get up more towards a 2 out of 3 win rate. But that takes some doing, and you don't win by accident in this game. You will earn every win that you get.
That's pretty cool. And I see a lot of amazing reviewers are on here. Oh, nice. Meeple's on the ground. That's Nick and Sarah. Really nice.
Yeah. Nick is amazing. Yeah.
Oh, really cool. And I see Josh is on here as well. And then, so what are we talking cost here? We're saying pledge 35 for, was it 10 for the print and play? 35 for the physical copy, 55 the signature edition, and then you've got, what is the 70? A 2-pack? That's not bad.
2-pack, yeah. And one of those 2-packs or one of those editions or one of those games gets upgraded to the signature edition for free.
Nice.
So typically that would be what, $95 or no, I can't do math. $90. Yeah, typically it would be $90. Instead, you just pay the cost of 2 regular games. You get the signature edition for free. So what you can say to your friend is like, hey, I got you a copy of this game. And what you're really saying is, hey, I got me the signature edition.
Yeah, I got myself the better copy. Hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, still, you're getting a copy for somebody else. Hey, Christmas, the holidays. Who knows?
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's going to have to be holidays 2021. We expect the game to be delivered further out. That's driven by Lauren. She's an amazing artist. She's also a single artist.
Yeah,
that this artwork is going to take some time.
Definitely will. I mean, all the.
Oh my gosh, we're good. Yeah. It's going to be worth it.
Let me see here. Let me go ahead and exit out of that real quick. Let's see here. I've got another comment on here. Jared plays Scythe, so it's no heavier than that, right? He would love another solo game. So that's Kids Planning. Allison is part of Kids Planning. Have you seen any of the videos that they do? It's two kids, Jared and Peyton. They're 11 and 7, and what they're doing is that they're opening games, and they're just it's like kids opening presents during the holidays.
Nice. That's
how cool. It is. It's the best way I can describe it. And they just started doing some how to plays, and they've been doing a lot of unboxings. And then I think they've also got like a podcast, which they interview the different designers, publishers, things of that nature. And then it's the kids. They're doing it all.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Allison and Daniel are very much behind the scenes, and they're like, you do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. We're gonna encourage it, but if you ever decide to say nope, we're done, we're okay with that. That's how they are as parents with their kids, which I love that about it, because
that's really cool. Yeah.
I mean, we've said with our kids when we do like the reviews and stuff, okay, you don't want to be in the pictures, you don't have to be in the pictures. If you want to be in the pictures, go ahead. If we work around their schedule. Say, do you want to play tonight? No. You want to play video games? Sure. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. You want to watch this movie? Okay. That's kind of how it is. And so
you don't turn it into work.
No, because once it becomes work, it's not fun anymore. The whole idea is you lose that passion. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the games that you're enjoying. So
yeah, mine are just crossing that threshold where they have opinions on things. Yeah, and so are very eager to assert their opinions on everything. So finding that balance is interesting. Because you want to do, yes, you do what you want, but no, you may not take a screwdriver to the wall.
Why not? I want to take a screwdriver to the wall right now. Come on, Dad.
Yeah. I'll play bad guy on that one happily. But to the question, so an 11-year-old playing Scythe, first off, is really impressive. Well done, Jared. And second off, I think if you grok that, you should be able to grok Deck of Wonders. It's one of those things where the rule system, every game, but the rule system for the game is really kind of a language. And that's part of what I love about board games is every time you crack into a new game, you're kind of learning a new language, just in a very rudimentary way. And so I think once you have the language of Deck of Wonders down, there's a little bit of focus it takes to get there. But once you have the language of Deck of Wonders down, games flow very quickly and everything should feel very natural. So I think if your kid can play Scythe, they can play Deck of Wonders.
Here, and we've got that link already in here for people. If you are wanting to go ahead and get on there, I put that at the beginning of the stream, and I will go ahead and I'll show it real quick. It's bit.ly/DOW Kickstarter. That's going to take you right to their link. Mm-hmm. And then I have this fancy banner, which I totally forgot about putting up because
check that out.
Yeah, so it's on there. Yeah, very cool. And let's see here. Let's check this out. Sweet. I'll dig in and check it out. Well, hey, what do you know?
Please do. And it sounds like they've got a cool thing going just like you do here.
Oh, they're an awesome family. They're going to be on with us tonight when we're playing Gudetama. So they come.
Wait, is it Allison's birthday?
No. Amanda's birthday. Amanda
birthday.
Panda.
There we go. Okay.
Amanda Panda is super helpful with the board game community. She does a lot for people like Ruel. She's done stuff for me during my Extra Life campaign. She is so selfless in the way that she is for the community. And so when you have the chance to interact with her, you know that here's somebody that truly cares about the board game community. So tonight, it's her birthday today. We're going to go on. We're going to, instead of doing our normal live stream to my Twitch channel, we're going to forward it over to hers. She's going to join in. We're going to play Gudetama. We're going to give away a copy of the game. We're going to have some fun doing that. And we're just going to have a good time. That's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. It's what it should be. When people are doing good things for the community and they're working hard, and she's doing this charity live stream, you want to support. You want to support what we like to call our board game family.
Yeah.
It's how it is. But yeah, and speaking of support, let's talk about this charity real quick. I'm going to pull up the screen and I'm going to open it up. All right, Chrome, boom, boom, and here we are. So I am on the page. This is 612fund.hk, English, of course, because
yes,
my Mandarin is not that good.
No, I took 2 years of it in college, and I remember none of it.
I remember Shu Tiao, so French fries, Hambabao, hamburger, and then Ting Coca-Cola or Ping Coca-Cola. Ting being can or Ping being bottle. And then Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, Shushima. And
all the important stuff.
Yeah, McDonald's. You got to go to McDonald's, get your Hambabao, Shu Tiao, Ting Coca-Cola. So I remember, and then Shanghai Da Shui, which was a university, and Shanghai Da Zhan, which was a Volkswagen. So I remember those things.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I can still write Coca-Cola in Mandarin, but that's about it. But I love how the translation literally translates to be cool, refreshing beverage.
Yeah,
where I think Pepsi's, and I don't get me wrong, I like Pepsi, but Pepsi's translation is brown water. So
not as appealing.
Not as appealing. So of course, Coca-Cola is one of the top sellers in China.
It's all in the name. It's all in the name.
Yeah, it's when I was over in Shanghai, beautiful area. Yeah,
were you there long term or?
No, I was just there for a couple of weeks, visiting some family. I had some family that were actually attending the university, and so we were just having a good time. Yeah, so we visited them and got to tour China. We went to the Great Wall, and we went to Beijing, Nanjing, Hangzhou, and Zhaojiang, and then Shanghai. So so it was a great experience. And then I ate all these different things that I probably, knowing beforehand, wouldn't have. But I got my first experience of hot pot, and hot pot is so good.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. There's a whole lot to love over there, and there's a whole lot of history over there. And I'll just apologize in advance because while I've tried to do my research, I'm sure I will not do justice to all the subtext and everything going on. But as you can see in some of the images on screen, and apologies, there's some more violent images, I guess.
Yeah, they need to see it. I mean,
they're going through a protest movement of their own, and we're actually going through a protest movement well before the U.S. was. There was a lot behind it. Basically, Hong Kong is supposed to be separate from China or kind of independent. Two systems, one country is kind of the mantra over there. However, China proper is kind of constantly encroaching on that in some really uncomfortable ways. And Hong Kong as a democracy has kind of bristled against that. However, there was new leadership voted in Hong Kong. And again, people will talk about how legitimate it was or not. That was very pro-China. And Carrie Lam, their current leader, proposed legislation that gave China extradition with Hong Kong. Basically saying, hey, if you get arrested for anything in Hong Kong, China can swoop in and disappear you. And if people are familiar, China's government has kind of a bad history with disappearing people in some really grisly ways. So there was outrage about that immediately, and people saying, like, look, if we pass legislation that gives extradition, that ruins our independence from China. We are not a democracy anymore because you can get arrested for jaywalking, you can get arrested for looking at someone wrong, and then China has you. And so there was a massive protest movement. The government actually backed away from that legislation, but it still highlighted just the way that Chinese influence had kind of pushed into Hong Kong to an extent that the people have been protesting ever since, really fighting for their independence and fighting for it not to just be independence on paper, but to truly be the independence they were guaranteed in fact. So that is my horribly reductive overview of what's going on. And unfortunately, like we've even started seeing in the United States, protesters that are going out, the police have been very, very harsh with. The police tactics in China are brutal. Tear gas came out straight away, batons came out straight away. You saw some of the fire hoses and stuff used in the video, and that led to a lot of injuries, or a lot of I don't know if false imprisonment is the right term, but a lot of people being in situations where they either had medical fees or legal fees that they were struggling to deal with. The protest movement in Hong Kong is uh, majority younger people, at least vocally. There's actually a really large contingent of the older population that supports it and will do things like drive protesters to and from rallies or provide them kind of escape routes or cover. They're just, their culture is that the older people would never be as overt. But to help defray those costs, the 612 Humanitarian Release Fund was created. And as you saw, the website is kind of in Cantonese or in Mandarin as a starting place. And it is very much kind of a homegrown effort, but they take in money and they use that money to defray the legal and medical expenses of protesters who would otherwise not be able to. And so that's high level what the fund is and some of the background. I'll pause there. I'll let you ask any questions and kind of lead it. I can talk about how I got involved in it, which is a story in and of itself, but I'll pause for you to give some thoughts.
Yeah. And here, thanks. Yeah. Justin put that link in there as well. 612fund.hk/en/home. Now, just looking at it, the one thing that I'm seeing on here as I scroll down, just some of the different things that it actually is helping out with: assistance for legal services. You don't always think about that when it comes to protests and stuff, because people are going to get arrested. People are going to go to jail. And their actions are just in the way that they're reacting. And because of it, we believe in innocent until proven guilty in the U.S. That is not always the case in other places.
No.
And so you think about it, to at least have some sort of legal representation to help them in those situations is so vital, because it does play a factor. Money talks, to be very honest. And if you have a good lawyer over there, you have a better chance. But it's not always innocent until proven guilty outside of our states. And I'm very thankful for that legal system that we have. But at the same time, outside of these states, it's not that way. From what I remember when I was over, the idea is who speaks the loudest sometimes decides who's going to win, who's going to win the argument.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And just knowing that this fund is there and can be brought in egregious situations, I think has a deterring effect on some of the worst end of the offenders. So that there's an element of accountability of even if the 612 Humanitarian Relief Fund can't be everywhere, can't have a lawyer in every courtroom, they are able to show up at enough, or kind of have the potential to show up in a way that I hope drives change.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I see here that stands out to me, emergency financial relief. If you think about the conversion rate of the kwai to the dollar, the way that I learned it was fun. It was like fun. 10 fun make a mau. 10 mau make a kwai. 8.2146 kwai make a dollar. So you think about the conversion rate of the kwai to the dollar, the cost of living that these people are making, for them to be either imprisoned or to be restrained or to not be able to work that day, that day's labor. That's big. So the fact that there's financial relief available to them, that's important. I can only think about, the cost for some food items are super cheap compared to what we're paying here in the U.S. So for them to be able to, but they're not always paid very well over there either. So you think about, if you can somehow just even financially, a dollar goes towards, like I said, 8.2146 kwai, which was a conversion rate the last time I was there. And I mean, that could go towards, I think you could get a couple skewers of lamb for about 2 kwai, which, I mean, that's a good amount of food.
It's significant. Yeah.
So the fact that you could be able to help them deal with some of those things like food on the table, helping them out with even their bills, helping them out with legal assistance, psychological counseling. I mean, let's be honest here. PTSD, it's very real. Depression's very real. You see something that goes wrong. You're part of something where something horrific happens to you. You're going to need that counseling. You need that to help you get through. You need that to help you get to the next day. I mean, there's a reason why psychiatrists are here in the U.S. are busy helping people out right now with everything that's going on. The same happens over there. I mean, they need that chance to be able to what's the word? To cope. I think that's what it comes down to.
I think there's a whole additional subtext as well in Hong Kong that we don't have here. Whereas here, if you are wronged by the government or the police, if there's corruption that puts you at a disadvantage, I think there's still a sense of outrage. There's still a sense of, if people know, this will be corrected. I think a lot has happened over the past 4 years to erode that, but it is still the case. In Hong Kong, in China, that subtext doesn't exist. No. And the expectation instead is that the government is kind of going to make what it wants to happen, and you'll be lucky to survive it. And if you call it out, like, yeah, go figure. Like that's the way things are. So I think that from a psychological level, to stand up and say what the government is doing is wrong, and to stand up and say I'm not okay with this. I demand a better life for myself. I demand a better life for my peers, for my children. That takes an extra level of bravery from someone in the context of China versus here. That just is that much more admirable. It is admirable here, and it is worthwhile to do here, and it is worth supporting here. And the people doing it in China are that much, or in Hong Kong, are that much more kind of out on a limb on their own.
So why did you get involved with it, or what got you excited about it? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm prone to I was going to say flights of fancy. That's the wrong terminology. Fits of passion. That's the wrong terminology. I get excited about stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I get passionate when I find out about things, and I'm fairly idealistic. This actually starts with Hearthstone. So right at the beginning of this movement, it wasn't on my radar. I think it was barely on anyone's radar. But right at the beginning of this movement, there was a Hearthstone tournament in the APAC region. I think it's like the Grandmasters or what have you. And a player who won, Blitzchung, is from Hong Kong. And in his winning interview, he said in his native tongue, he said, "Hey, free Hong Kong, revolution of our times." And that was it. That was, basically all that he said. And that's kind of the slogan of the movement over there, which is like, okay, yeah, he's in the winner's circle. He's supporting his cause. I guess that's fine. And then come to find out the next day that Blizzard not only banned him and renounced his or took back his winnings, but they also banned the announcers that were on screen with him at the same time, and issued an apology to China, basically on behalf of the organization, saying, "Sorry, we won't let that happen again." So this person who's making his living playing Hearthstone and had earned that money is banned from his what he does for a living, has the money he earned taken away, and basically everyone who was near him got nuked as well. And that was, that shocked me. I couldn't believe it, and that is uncharacteristic in general for the way I knew Blizzard. And especially the way they've done representation and some other decisions in the past, that something wasn't right. Something was weird. And so I started following the rabbit hole of why would they be so harsh to someone who, by all other accounts, like, he had no prior infractions. He's a standout member of the community. Even in his interviews afterwards, he wasn't vitriolic towards Blizzard for banning him. He was just a real stand-up guy. And yet they came down so hard on him. So that led me to what was going on right now. And it was very disappointing in a way to see, okay, this is big enough. Like China is angry enough about it that it would provoke this fear-based response from a U.S.-based corporation. And to see some, Blizzard based out of the U.S. hurting their community, hurting their players, and making apologies for something that, I think is on the right side of justice pretty clearly, just shocked me. So that's what got me into it. I owe a lot to Hearthstone. Deck of Wonders, feels like Hearthstone to play in a lot of ways. And I still have a lot of admiration for the ideas and mechanics going on in that game. And I hope that Blizzard's decision making will improve over time. And I think they've made some advances in that direction. We'll see. But that kind of really got it on my radar. And actually, I was about to launch a fundraiser to do my first wave of art for the game, and decided to give half of the proceeds from that to 612. And so we raised $500 total, $250 for the 612 Humanitarian Relief Fund, just through that initial fundraiser.
That's pretty awesome. That is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was so happy that people came out for it.
Yeah, I remember when that happened in the news, and I was kind of like, really, Blizzard?
It's so non sequitur. Yeah,
you know what it is. I mean, let's be real. It's sad truth.
You gotta follow the money when things don't make sense.
Money talks, and if I upset where the money's coming from, then I need to save face and fix it all, which I think it's ridiculous. Plain and simple on that one. If something is morally not right, and you're supporting that, and you have somebody that just speaks up, freedom of speech, which you don't have over there, but it blows my mind. It just blows my mind that it shouldn't be that way. But
so that got my attention. That put 612 on my radar. Hopefully that puts it on a bunch of other people's radar. So even if that isolated event was pretty devastating for Blitzchung and the other casters involved, we can jujitsu, however the word is said, right, spin that into something positive overall in terms of awareness gained.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that, if you're interested and you want to actually look at more into 612, it is a Hong Kong based website, so it's going to translate. Hopefully, if you have Google Chrome, it'll automatically take you to the translated version, and there's a translated version right here, which we viewed, and of course you can look at it, learn a little bit more about it, and do your own research if you want to on it, and if you want to support it, please do, because you are helping out. If you think about it, what's going on here in our states with what we're doing with protests and protesters, not being treated very well, and it's not fun, the situations that we're going through. But how are we going to help them? And then at the same time, we've also got people outside of our country that are even have it worse, that we can also help as well. So we have the chance as people to help both. We can help what's happening here in our home states. We have a chance to help what's going on in another country. Why not? I mean, obviously, we're not going to make the world a better place just worrying about the good old US, because I mean, seriously, I mean, it doesn't work that way.
It's all connected. And I think what's become very clear to me watching, because that came onto my radar, and I saw some of the videos on 612, and I was like, oh my God, like, thank God I'm somewhere that doesn't have that happening. And now it's happening. And so I think that's it happening in the US. I think what I've realized is that the kind of tyranny that is starting to rear its ugly head here is incubated by governments like China's overseas when they're in kind of that negative form. And unfortunately, there are people in power that would look to what China's doing and be like, I like that. I'm gonna steal from that playbook. And so to denounce it here is important and worthwhile and good. And then to denounce it at the source, at where they're writing the playbook for it, helps make sure that it doesn't spread here again.
That's very important. I mean, if we can do anything right now, it would be support the people that are trying to make a difference. I mean, very simple. And if you want to, I'm going to pop that link back up here again, 612fund.hk/en/home. That will take you right to the site. You can donate. You can look a little bit more into it, find out more about it. We only brushed the surface of it.
Yeah, like I'm sure I did not do it justice.
Yeah. But I mean, there's that video on there as well where you can learn more about it. That video, I mean, that was graphic. I mean, it wasn't like disturbingly graphic, but you saw the brutality. You saw the protest. You saw it. I mean, it's what it is. People need to know. And if they don't know, then, you know, it just becomes another situation. I mean, there's been horrible atrocities that have happened in the past histories. And because they were allowed to happen, other things were allowed to happen. And then finally people said, no, it's got to stop. I mean, I am so thankful, as silly as it sounds, when we look at technology nowadays, we've got these things which have made such an impact, good or bad. But yeah, I mean, let's be real, good or bad. But you think about it. We now are more in tune with what's going on with our world. We're more in tune with what's going on in our nation. If something happens in Kenosha, Washington, we're knowing about it within seconds. If something's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota, we are hearing about it in seconds. It's not anymore being able to be spun on or anything of that nature. Of course, people still spin stuff, but we have a chance to at least know what's going on. Now is the decision. Are you going to act on it? Are you going to help your communities? Are you going to help them be better? That's the only way we can make change. We're not going to do it sitting on our butts. So, I mean, I mean, it's what it is. It's what it is. I mean, we have a drug epidemic here in our state. And so what do? We go out. We help out with the homeless shelters. We help out with those things. We try to help out with these rehabilitation clinics and things of that nature. Why? Because we want it better for us. We want it better for them too. We don't want to have to worry about those situations where you don't know if this person's a junkie or not. You don't want to have to worry about that. Instead, you want to know, hey, they've been given a chance and we're able to help them.
I think it's funny. Something that's been impressed on me in a couple different areas of life, but even just in the Kickstarter campaign for Deck of Wonders, is how much difference big actions in a small community can make. I think a lot of times it's easy to feel overwhelmed and like there's no way you're going to impact the large picture. But what I've seen time and time again is that even that small voice, if it's a passionate voice, even doing right by one person, if you're truly doing right by them, has an impact that ripples and just, you know, it's hard to make the math for it add up, but you see the end result. And that's the way anything changes is through those small actions. And people stepping up. So, you know, this conversation happening is a small action in the right direction. You know, going to the Deck of Wonder, like, you know, just one person being a genuine advocate for the game and feeling supported in doing so, even if they're not the super mega streamer, right? That has an impact. And I've just seen that proven out time and time again in a really cool way.
Yeah. I mean, it takes one person to make a difference in somebody's life. And not only does it make a difference in somebody else's life, it makes a difference in the life of the person that's actually doing it. I've noticed that when it comes to the holidays, a lot of people say it's better to give than to receive. And the feeling of giving towards good causes and making a difference and giving of our time and helping out in our community and our society. Yeah, we're going to do crap along the way while we're doing it, but there's this feeling of joy that sometimes comes from it. Like when you're serving at a soup kitchen, handing out a meal, you know, making a kid smile. I mean, it means so much more than getting it for yourself. And you just feel that reward from doing it. So when you see those things where there's indifference and there's systemic racism and you're seeing just these frustrations and people just like giving up and needing hope, if we can give just even a small ounce of our love and small ounce of our time to make a difference, it becomes something more. We grow from it, they grow from it, and we can encourage to be better from it. So, yeah.
I think that's fundamentally what we're wired for, you know? And I think there's a part of you that comes alive when you are engaging with other people that way, that just you're living out a purpose that's been hardwired into you.
Yeah.
And you can experience, it sounds like bigger than maybe it is, but like you can experience a fulfillment of like, I'm living out my purpose here in a way that is just really hard to get with other more traditional definitions of success.
Yeah. I mean, sure, success could be money. Woohoo. Success could be having a nice car. Woohoo. Success could be, being the president of the United States. Woohoo. And then but really, success more comes from that connection. I've noticed for me, it's the connection, knowing that I'm impacting somebody's life, that I'm able to help somebody. That is more success. If I know that I've impacted one person, I feel better. That takes me out of a rut, because when you're in a rut, it's hard to want to give. But when you give, it's like a thrill, and it's a good thrill. So yeah. Word. So that's our encouragement to everybody. So if you have not done something that you want to find a way to get involved, there's so many different charities that we've been talking about over all these streams. Tonight, it's about a charity organization that helps out with humanitarian relief for the people of Hong Kong going on with the protests that they're dealing with currently. Whether or not you believe in what they're doing or whether or not you agree with what China's doing, that's up to you. But if you want to support this cause, that link is there. I'm going to pop it back up again. You can go ahead, go to it, 612fund.hk/en/home. It is a Hong Kong site. So it will, of course, you will see some Mandarin, you'll see some Cantonese, and then you'll see some English, okay? I think they've got some other languages as well. So if anybody's actually watching this from outside of the country, you can see that as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, please make it a point to look at that. It's worth your time to do that. Also, we've already got the link. Of course, it's in the description as well. And it's I think I've got it up at the top. So let me pop that back up there real quick. It is bit.ly/DOW. That's Deck of Wonders Kickstarter. So if you want to go ahead and support this game, it has already funded. How many days does it have left? Let me check.
Yeah, we go through the 17th. So today is the 3rd. That makes it 14 days left. 2 weeks left. Oh, yeah, today's Thursday. So exactly 2 weeks left.
So 2 weeks left, everybody. Yeah. So if you want to support that as well, please do. I mean, it's a game that I enjoyed for a solo game. I'm not the biggest solo gamer, but I actually enjoyed playing it. So that's something that
I hear that a lot. I'm glad to be evangelizing solo games. Reclusive people.
I'm surprised you haven't tried to get this to Mike DeLucio of the Dice Tower, because he is diehard into solo games.
Oh, I'll have to check that. I need to get better connected. Another thing, if I may, we just announced today a community art challenge.
Okay.
And so anyone here who is an artist, and hint, everyone's an artist. If you get an idea, you're an artist.
I don't know if you've seen my art, probably not. So
if try to scare me with it. But anyway, so we've done a ton of art for Deck of Wonders, and Lauren Brown has done an amazing job. And we've shown everything from creatures to spells to villains to you name it. The one thing we've never shown is a protagonist. And that's because the idea behind the game is that you are the protagonist, that you belong in this world, that you are the one who is impacting this world, whoever you are, whatever you look like, whatever your thing is, like you belong at the center of this story. And so we never wanted to say like, oh, the protagonist is Fennis Duria, the hero, like
really
yeah we shied away from that.
You went with the easy Elvish name there. Okay. All right.
So what we did was we said, okay, for anyone out there who wants, draw yourself or draw someone you love as a protagonist in Deck of Wonders. And you can take inspiration from all the art we've done, but honestly, any style, any level of polish, just draw someone you love, draw yourself as the protagonist in this game. And we'll take that from the community instead of showing it ourselves. Everyone that submits, we're going to feature you in a blog post and feature you in a Kickstarter update. And then one person who submits is actually going to win a free copy of the game. So even if you're just a doodler, it is worth putting that doodle out there to potentially win a free copy of Deck of Wonders. I think that goes on through the 15th. So anyone you know with an artistic streak, send them over the art. Maybe they'll get inspired. If that's you, or if you think maybe it could possibly someday be you, but you're kind of scared to do it,
that's not me.
Go do it. Let's do some art.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. No, that's really cool. I am not the artist, so I'll leave it to everybody else that's watching this later. But
send us your stick figures. We'll love them.
I will. I will be like, okay, hold on. Let me see. I got a piece of paper right here. Anyway. So I'll be like, okay, I've got this guy, and we'll call him George the Bandit. I don't know why George the Bandit. I'm not really thinking about it. There we go. George the Bandit, right there.
The first community art contribution to Deck of Wonders, right
there. We go.
You've seen it, folks.
It's right there. Hold on.
That could win you a free copy of the game.
Well, let me put like a little sword in his hand. Maybe he has a sword for a hand because of the way I draw. Well, let's see.
What's his name? It's turning into what's his name? I was going to do a Princess Bride joke, and the name left me.
He's got a goatee.
Wesley. He's turning into Wesley from Princess Bride.
Oh, when we got married, my wife and I got married, we had the theme song from Princess Bride being played on the piano.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing.
This guy's got kind of like a goatee thing with a fancy mustache type deal. Let's see here. And let's see. We'll give him some eyebrows because he seems like a cool guy. There we go. Now he is. There
Look at that. He looks worried. Looks worried.
Yeah, well,
George needs some confidence.
It's okay.
If he's going up against villains like Cullen the Spoiled Prince, like Aurora the Empath, like Byzantis the Enthraller, he should be a little bit worried.
Yeah,
but that's what we got going on in Deck of Wonders.
I like it. Well, Dennis, I want to say thank you very much for coming on tonight. For any of those that are interested, like I said, I've got the links actually in the comments as well. So you can actually go to those. You can go to the Kickstarter on there. You can go to 612 Humanitarian Relief. And you can make a contribution if you want to go ahead and back the game as well. You can back that. It's already funded, so there's nothing to worry about with funding, which I know sometimes people worry about that. And I understand that because I'm like, I backed it, and it's got 30 days to go, but it's not funded yet. I want it. But I remember there was one game I think I backed, and it was literally the week before it ended that it funded, and I was like, oh. But it's like,
oh man, I'm so glad I'm not riding that roller coaster. I don't like. I had enough stress and craziness in that first 48 hours. I don't know that I could do that for the entirety of the campaign. So creators that kind of set those high goals and fund at the last second, I respect that.
It's crazy.
That takes constitution.
Yeah, it's wild stuff. But yeah, I want to say thank you very much for coming on tonight. Really appreciate that. And for everybody that's watching, remember that if we can gather at the table, we can also do the same for a good cause. So good night.